All right, let's talk Denver going into Buffalo. Buffalo's a big favorite for a reason. What I want to concentrate on is Bo Nix, because rookie quarterbacks don't do well in the playoffs, first game, especially on the road. Bo Nix against Buffalo's defense. Could he succeed? Could he move the chains?
Yeah, you know, that's really interesting about the Bills' defense. That's my concern in the playoffs for Buffalo, to be honest with you, because they don't really have a dominant pass rush. Von Miller's had some good snaps in recent games, but he's not going to play 40 or 45 snaps in the game. Their secondary, I think, has some questions. Now, they do get their two starting safeties back in Hamlin and Rapp, but it's not a great secondary. So I'm just very curious to see how this plays out, because I think that Denver can have some success throwing the football. Now, the issue for them is they've not been able to run the ball with consistency. But I will say this, Colin, the other side of the ball is not being talked about a lot. We know that Josh Allen can be special. We know that their offense in any given game can put up 30. That's what they averaged. But this Denver defense is very, very good. And they've got a lot of really good players. They're very good up front. And they've got a really good corner in Surtain and a really good safety combination that a lot of people don't know about in Locke and Brandon Jones. So this game, I think this game could be, I mean, I could be wrong. Buffalo could win 35-10 and no one would be surprised. I understand that. But there's a part of this game that really intrigues me that thinks it could be a close game.
Ooh, okay. Let me decode that. Let me be the decoder for Greg Cosell. That's his way of saying he really thinks that this game is going to be close, but he is not the type of person he's not a hot take artist, right? So he's not going to be coming out here and being like, this is going to be a close game between the Bills and the Broncos. The Broncos have a real chance of winning. I think that's how he actually truly feels, but he's trying to be like, hey, this could be close. It could be this. Maybe not, but that's my interpretation of it. That's my interpretation of it. I mean, listen, for the Buffalo Bills, we know and understand that the defense is more of a concern. When looking at this team as a whole, you're not concerned about Josh Allen, right? Like, you're not concerned about that. Your concern more is what will the defense do? And I know the Broncos have a great defense, but there is the argument that their defense hasn't been that great over the last few games. You could absolutely make that argument, minus when they played the backups against the Kansas City Chiefs. And if anyone's going to be able to break through an offense, it's of course going to be Josh Allen. The reality is that the Denver Broncos haven't played anyone like Josh Allen this season. They played Lamar, which is definitely good, obviously, but it's a completely different offense, how the Ravens run and what they ask Lamar to do compared to what they ask Josh Allen to do. And the Ravens had their way with the Broncos. Now, again, that was weeks and weeks ago. So it's like, it only matters so much. These teams are all very different. Bo Nix is a different quarterback now. He'll probably be able to sustain drives better. I mean, who really honestly knows how this game will unfold in terms of Bo Nix, because he is a rookie. He is on the road. We know that typically does not go well. And I'm sure the Bills and the Broncos, for that matter, are very well aware of that. But I think with the experience of the Bills, considering they've been here so many times now, I think the biggest way, the way the Broncos make this a close game, is by surprising the Bills. And I just don't think the Bills are in a position to be surprised. They have no grand illusions of walking their way to a Super Bowl, that they're going to just be able to beat anyone. Like they know they've had some tough losses. They've lost to teams that they should not have lost to. They played weirdly close games where you're like, this should not be a close game. This is not how this game should unfold. They've had their wake-up calls. And they saw the Broncos roll the Chiefs. Yes, it's the backups, but they still saw a high-functioning offense. And players know. Players still know, yeah, you're playing backups, of course, your numbers are going to be better, but they still know. These are the athletes. They play. They still know what's possible, what's not possible. So I guarantee you, those defensive players are saying, yeah, they went up against the backups, but they're still like, yeah, but they still look pretty good. I mean, like they still know, because they know what it's like to play against backups. They know that, yeah, it's a lot easier, but it doesn't mean it's a guaranteed, 40 points. Here we go. Like they know that. You can't lie to athletes in that regard. You can brainwash them a little bit with some coach speak. That's definitely true. But as long as they kind of keep getting older and older and older and playing longer and longer and longer, you kind of start to break through that as well. But so I just don't think that the Bills are going to be caught off guard. At least that's what my expectations are for the Buffalo Bills. They've had too many really tough losses in the playoffs, tough losses in this immediate season. They've just been there, right? They weren't rolling through this season. They haven't been dominating teams, right? It's not like they've been rolling teams 35-0 game after game after game, where now like they're going to go up against this feisty, nothing to lose Denver Broncos team, and the expectation for the Bills are like, yeah, we got this. We're going to roll them, no problem. And then it's like, oh, wow, this seems so much better than we thought. I don't see that happening. I do not see that happening. Could this game be close? Sure. Because I think the Broncos are a bit better than people think they are. Now I mean in terms of fans, like not players. And I think the Broncos defense, again, I think the defense is good. It's so hard when you take defensive rankings and points per game and and yards per game and stuff like that as just like blind faith. Because to me, when you break down these rankings and who's good and who's not, you do have to really dig deep. And it really does matter who you play. It just does, because you have offenses and defenses that can really juice up the numbers and really dominate against these bad teams. And then when they play a better team or a good team, like they give up points or they don't score points depending on which side of the ball you're trying to evaluate. And it's like a team can be like a top-ranked defense because they shut out the Giants, the Panthers, and the Jaguars. And now that's like, really boost them up for their points per game. But when they played against the Eagles and the Lions, they gave up 35 points and 28 points. You know what I'm saying? So it's like what you do against the lesser teams really doesn't matter when trying to evaluate how good you are. Because at the end of the day, when you're trying to look at who's a contender and who's not, you don't care how you play against the bad teams. You care about how you play against the good teams. Now, throughout the season, you're always trying to put this all together and try to put everything in context. So it's not like it's completely irrelevant, but it is completely irrelevant in the playoffs now. In the playoffs, it does not matter if Josh Allen put up 75 points against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Doesn't matter, I don't care. He threw for 500 yards and rushed for 200. Doesn't matter, man. It was the Jags. It does not matter. What did he do against the Kansas City Chiefs? What did he do against the Ravens? What did he do against the Lions, the Rams, these top teams? Because that's what it matters now. That's who you're playing. That's the quality of opposition that you're going up against. And it does matter when you're trying to reach these conclusions and trying to figure out, will this be close? Can this team hang with this team or not? And I don't agree that you just blindly look at, well, this team's 1-4 against playoff teams and this team is, 3-2. Like you don't do that either, because that's also kind of just like a blind resume. It's kind of like, well, how do these games unfold? Is this team 1-4, but in those 4 losses, they were like a lot of close games? Did they only get, beat pretty good one time? And then the other 3 games, like it was very close and they were clearly right there with you? In the perception of, style points and this whole idea of it only matters if you win or you lose, and it's like not really, honestly, not when you're trying to have these types of conversations. Yeah, at the end of the day in the playoffs, as long as you win, that is all that matters. We're trying to evaluate how good a team is, how close a team is, what the expectation should be for a team, what do they need to do moving forward. Like, that's how GMs and coaches and anyone else is. When you're trying to evaluate a team, you're not just like, oh, well, we won, that's all that matters. You're like, yeah, we won, but we have to improve our secondary. We still gave up 28 points. We still gave up, 350 yards passing. Like, whatever it may be. Like, that's how you have to actually zoom into these games to really figure out how are they unfolding. So it's weird. It's tricky. But this should be, and this is what's always tough when you're talking about the playoffs, because you use a lot of shoulda, coulda, wouldas. And it's like the Bills should win this game convincingly. This shouldn't be a difficult game for the Bills. They should be able to attack, and how no matter how lack of greatness you think this defense for the Bills has, they should still be able to make a rookie quarterback uncomfortable on the road in Buffalo. That should be what happens. The Bills' offense should be good enough to get after this Broncos defense. But will it all happen? I don't know, man. I don't know. That's why I'm so excited. These playoff games just continue to with each playoff video that I make, it's just like I honestly, by the end of the video, I just get more and more and more excited for it. Again, if you're a Buffalo Bills fan, you should be convinced and confident that they are going to come away with this win. And the reality is that if the Buffalo Bills are a true, bona fide top contender in the NFL, especially the AFC, this should not be a game where for a moment you're concerned that the Bills can lose. It could be a close game-ish, but you should have the feeling of, we're clearly better than the Broncos from start to finish. It should not be like, oh God, this is going to be one of those games where who has the ball last, or oh man, the Broncos are going to have the ball back with 3 minutes to go. Oh gosh. Like, that's not the way how this game should be. It just shouldn't. And if it is, well, then that'll give you, and they still end up winning, that'll give you concerns going against the Ravens and the Chiefs. And it should give you concerns. And it would give you concerns. So that's why these first round games like this, when you do have a feisty opponent, they help you kind of see what you're looking at here. And we will find out soon enough. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Buffalo Bills taking on the feisty Denver Broncos? And do you think the Broncos can keep this game close? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.